This is a Bentley with Hellcat power. Dad, what are we looking at today?
This is the Bentley Continental GTC Azure.
Azure? Azure?
However you pronounce it.
I don't think I'm classy enough to say it right, but this is an ultimate luxury spec of the Bentley Continental convertible with a truly amazing powertrain. And in today's video, we're going to take you all around the GTC. We're going to take you inside, show you under the hood, and then get it out on the road and show you what it drives like.
Yep, Bentley flew us out here to Big Sky, Montana and let us drive this, but we only have it for a short amount of time, so this will be a fast take. And I'm thinking to myself, Tommy, are you bored with Ferrari or Porsche or even Aston Martin convertibles? If so, voila.
Now this Continental is on its 4th generation, and this latest generation brings a lot to the table, starting with the powertrain. So let's pop the hood. Now, Dad, one of kind of the iconic powertrains that Bentley's used in Continentals for years is the W12, but that's not under the hood of this car.
Wah, wah, wah. That was a really cool engine.
It was a cool engine, but I would argue that this vehicle is something even cooler because it mixes a lot of ingredients to make something pretty special.
Let me guess, it's a turbocharged 8-cylinder.
It is a turbocharged 8-cylinder, but it's a twin turbocharged V8, 4 liters, right, with an 8-speed, but it's got a hybrid powertrain, over a 21 kilowatt hour battery on board, which is about the size of a first generation Nissan Leaf battery. So not only do you have this huge twin turbo V8, you've got a massive onboard battery, which is good for 30-40 miles of range. And the total horsepower is around 670-ish. But if you get the speed, then you're looking at 771 horsepower.
That's more than a Hellcat, dude.
That's more, that's almost demon horsepower. That's crazy. Now, Dad, this Azure is a very luxurious trim, and there are some ways to spot an Azure from other products. Now in the front, you've got a unique grille with these streaks that waterfall down the front end, and you can get this in kind of a chrome finish, but what I like about this one is it's all blacked out, especially against this color. What's this color called?
Breeze.
And what would you describe it? It's a silver, but it's got like a little hint of blue in it.
I would describe it as very feminine, Tommy. Very
feminine. I would describe it as very elegant, because a lot of silvers are just kind of flat and boring. This has a nice metallic flake to it, and then it's got a very subtle hint of blue, which I think is very cool.
Yeah, you know, I mean, obviously this competes with cars like the Porsche 911 Turbo S convertible.
You've got like the Aston Martin DB12 is in this category as well. So a Ferrari Roma, right? So this kind of ultimate GT car is a very competitive category. Now, when we look at the side of this vehicle, now we've got new wheels, 22-inch wheels in this black finish. And then, like I said, everything on this particular Azure is all blacked out. So the badging, the side trim, the door handles, it's all darkened. And then out back, this is kind of an interesting little fact. You can always tell if you're looking at a luxury GTC versus a Speed based on the taillight. So this Azure has these red taillights, where a Speed would have a smoke taillight.
You know, this car is becoming kind of a movie star because it was featured in both Yellowstone and Landman, or at least versions of this Bentley convertible.
Now let's pop open the trunk. I love how you pop open the trunks on Bentleys. You push in on the flying B there. The little wings.
A lot of trunk space because of the convertible, obviously.
For sure, yeah. So we've got our small bags here. Certainly could fit a couple of, I think you could probably fit one golf bag back here. And then you also have a rear seat. So check this out. This is a more or less proper 4-seater, although I'm not sure you're going to fit much back here. We do have this little air deflector, wind deflector, keeping things nice and cozy.
Yeah, I mean, once again, another set of golf clubs.
Another set of golf clubs, yeah. But let's hop on the inside, because there are some really nice touches on the inside of this as well.
Well, let's do this so we don't get weird shadows. Why don't you show them the operation of the roof?
Okay.
And I'll film it from the outside, and then we'll hop in and show them the cool stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a really quick operation. I'm going to put it in the EV mode so we can keep it nice and silent. And then watch this. Push the button, and in a matter of seconds, that top's going to fold up. And it's a multi-layered soft top as well for sound deadening. That's going to click into place. Boom. And you get that cool pillarless look, and then if you keep holding, the windows go up. All right, here comes...
Hey, I'm wondering, does this even have soft close or not?
It does have soft close.
It does? Let me try.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it does have soft close. Here, why don't you take the camera and I'll pull the British Monroney, because we don't have actually American pricing, but we do have British pricing, so let's look at that. while we have the car. So here we are. Here's the UK pricing in pounds, and we're looking at a lot of Mulliner. Now Mulliner, of course, as you know, Tommy, is the more bespoke, the more upper class version of any Bentley. So we've got a starting price of £244,000. Altogether, it's like 280, which translates to about 380, I think, US dollars, if you were doing a direct correlation, which you may not be, but you know, you're looking at a lot of money.
Now, if you look at this interior, there's a lot of really cool things, and this is a monotone cabin in Brunel leather, right? Brunel leather, yeah, and piano breeze fascia. But what's cool about this is I really like some of the Mulliner stitching here. So we've got this breeze stitching all throughout the interior, and this really fine kind of tight stitching across the dash. And I really like how they also bring in this gray panel across the doors and then throughout the rest of the interior. And just like that other Bentley we were looking at earlier, the Flying Spur, if I push the screen button, the screen's going to hide away and reveal 3 gauges. So we've got outside temperature, we've got our compass, and we also have a little chronometer here.
Look at that, the world's smallest outside temperature. Right there. Look
64.
How tiny that is.
Well, you also have the big gauge.
I know, but it's funny, isn't it?
You also have it here.
Of course, yeah.
There's no question of what the outside temperature is.
Hey, and if you're wondering about, you know, the fact that this is a very expensive car, I think this is one of those cars that if you have to ask, Tommy, you probably can't afford it.
Yeah, that's right.
Like us, we can't afford it.
This is a bespoke kind of thing for bespoke kind of people. But let's see what it drives like. Now, there's a lot of cool things here. I'm going to actually show you some of the E modes. The screen's going to pop back up. So look, we've got our EV mode, right? EV drive, hybrid drive, and then hold function as well, so you can hold the battery for later. We're going to start out in the electric drive, and I like that this car still has a lot of tactile buttons down here. So if you look at the shifter, right, it's a physical, big kind of chunky shifter. Make sure the car is on. There we go. And that pulls down, and you can also go to the manual mode by pulling back again.
Now, as you know, Bentley's part of the VAG.
The Volkswagen Auto Group. Yep.
Exactly. And this shares a platform with things like the Panamera, I believe.
Yep, that's right.
But it does feel very British and very Bentley.
Yeah, it's got its very unique kind of sense of style and tone to it. And I think that's because it's also just very big and very heavy, and there's a lot going on. And this is definitely more of a Grand Tourer than a sports car, but as we're going to find out in a minute, even without the speed, this car will really get up and move.
Does it have the burble in the exhaust?
It doesn't, no. So if you go to the sport mode, the exhaust will kick on, and you can just barely hear it. You kind of just hear that gentle baritone out the back, and then maybe a little bit of turbo whistle. But yeah, there's no pops or bangs like we experienced in the Bentayga Speed.
Now, this is the Continental GT and GTC. C, of course, stands for convertible. Is one of Bentley's more popular models. They don't have that many models, right? They have the Bentayga, they have the Flying Spur, and they have the GTC.
And the GT, the coupe version.
Yeah, exactly. And I can see why, Tommy. I can see why this is, this is a nice compromise between, the let's call it the very sporty 911 Turbo, the very sporty.
Look at those elk.
Yeah. Well, there they are. You're next to the window. You want to show them?
Yeah, look at that. Then Montana, you got some elk out there. Very cool.
Yeah. You'd have to go to Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado to get those. Like I was saying, it's a nice compromise, right, between a hardcore sports car and a Grand Tour.
I mean, I think that this is definitely more the Grand Tour side of things. Even in sport mode, it's very quiet and subdued. And yeah, you've got these beautiful chrome paddles that you can try to downshift a little bit. And then when you go for it,
oh my gosh, it's what, 3.5 seconds-ish?
It's about 3.8, so you lose about 0.3 seconds going with the C over the standard coupe. It's plenty, though.
Yeah, it's plenty fast. It's enough to give you a little bit of vertigo when you step on it, Tommy.
This car is certainly kind of like you were saying earlier, though, Dad, a little bit of the dying breed. This whole concept of the personal luxury coupe or the personal luxury convertible is a very rare thing. Now you've got hardcore sports cars and supercars, and then you've got still a few S-Class and Flying Spur style sedans, but very few.
There's another one.
Yeah, that's a really cool
one.
Very few of these luxury convertibles. That car is cool too because
I like the haunch on the back.
I like the red roof on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very neat.
The one thing, I said this was very feminine, and I think it has to do with the breeze color, and I think it has to do with the fact that the women in those two shows I mentioned, Yellowstone and Landman are very feminine, and they drive this car. So in my mind, that's kind of become a very feminine car. I'm not saying it is. I think if you were to get this in the speed version, there's another one.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Oh my gosh.
That 25, it sure is. It must be part of our group as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. Yeah.
The rear haunches are very cool.
They are cool. It's also an Azure. Or do you say Azure? Anyway, I think we beat that horse. So, Tommy, let's finish this review up and, thank Bentley for letting us drive this. I, normally wouldn't get behind the wheel of such royalty, because these are British and they are the kind of cars that the royals would drive, in my mind at least. And if you had $400,000,
yes,
would this be something that you would consider buying?
I think it would, actually.
Yeah?
I really like it a lot, because I'm not really someone that needs like the performance of a McLaren or even a Ferrari, and I'm certainly not going to be doing any track time. And I think that this car, for just a long road trip, would be incredibly hard to beat. The way that this car can eat up miles is kind of unparalleled, and for that, it's very cool.
Yeah, I think whether you're going to the golf club or whether you're going to the yacht club, you will make quite the statement pulling up in this. And well, all the other guys, might be there in their Porsche Turbos and Ferraris and Astons. Once again, this will say that you not only are you wealthy, but you're refined and wealthy.
Yes, this is the elegant choice, right? This is the thinking man's choice, and I think that's very cool.
Or thinking woman's.
Or thinking woman.
Well, guys, thanks for watching. As always, head on over to alltfl.com for more news, views, and what, Tommy?
Real world reviews, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Ciao.